An early morning fire rips through a home in Bemidji, Minnesota. Firefighters race to the scene.
When I got there was still smoke in the air, but they primarily had the fire extinguished.
Buried in the debris and still smoldering home, a horrible tragedy. The body of the homeowner, Melissa Norby.
It seemed really odd because the main bulk of the fire had burned in a southwest bedroom, but then her body was in the middle of the house and had what appeared to be a mattress over the top.
Deputy Fire Marshal Kevin Molly is called to investigate and immediately notices something suspicious. Melissa's body and the mattress are both badly burned.
Quite a bit more than what you would expect from a fire that would have started a few rooms away.
And that wasn't all.
When we walked around the outside, some of the things that we noticed were windows that had literally been blown away from the building 12, 15 feet.
Evidence of explosives is easy to find.
Bruce, could you shine the light on that gas can again? I'm just going to videotape it.
Detective Mike Solom is the man behind the camera.
Parts of the trailer had been totally destroyed, but the victim's bedroom hadn't been destroyed completely, so the gas can was still intact.
Investigators quickly rule the cause of the fire is arson. And if this fire is no accident, Melissa's death likely isn't either.
We looked at the victim when we saw her hands were bound with tape. Appeared to be duct tape. Then we backed out and got the BCA involved.
Melissa Norby was a 35-year-old single mother who loved ones called Missy. She and Amanda Smith had been friends since they were kids.
She had the biggest heart ever. You needed something, she'd be there. You know, it's just how she was.
Before investigators could start collecting evidence, they had a far more pressing matter to attend to.
The victim's 10 or 11-year-old boy that may be inside the house that they couldn't find yet.
Neighbors tell investigators that Melissa lives in the home with her young son, but there was no sign of the boy.
Once we'd removed the victim and we continued to dig for what we thought would be a 10 or 11-year-old boy, we completely searched every square inch of that home, including outside, underneath the mobile home.
Cops finally reach a relative and are relieved to learn Melissa's son was safe. He had spent the night with family in the Twin Cities area.
That kind of gave us a little bit of a breather.
But investigators wouldn't have long to catch their breaths. While sifting through the burned-out home, searching for clues, Melissa's friend Amanda comes running up to the scene.
How did you hear there was a fire at Missy's home?
Her cousin called me.
Amanda couldn't believe what Missy's cousin was saying.
She was hysterical and she said, "Please tell me it's not true." And I'm like, "What?" And she says, "Tell me Missy's house is not on fire." So I freaked and got in my truck and I took off, and my boys hopped in the truck with me and they were like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, I gotta go.
It wasn't just the shock that her childhood friend had died in the fire. Amanda's 5-year-old daughter had spent the night at Melissa's house.
You knew Brittany was inside.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda and her sons were at the scene within minutes.
I kept telling them my daughter's in that house.
She had no idea investigators had already been through the house many times, initially fearing Melissa's son could be inside. They were confident there were no other bodies.
Our fire marshal's office that we work with every day said, "Nope, she's not in the fire, Chad." And that, to us, was kind of the beginning of, wow, this is more than we thought it was.
If Brittany's remains weren't there, where was she? Senior Special Agent Chad Musaeus is with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension.
We think, well, there's got to be a common sense, easy explanation for what's going on here.
Detectives narrowed down what could have possibly happened to the 5-year-old.
She escaped the fire, saw flames, smelled smoke, got scared, or she's with somebody else and she's safe.
Amanda Smith was desperately hoping that's what happened to her only daughter.
Did investigators keep coming out to say, "We can't find her"?
Yeah. "Are you sure she's here? Are you sure she didn't give her to somebody else?"
Amanda tells cops she's certain Melissa wouldn't have given her daughter to someone else without her permission.
I
I had
didn't know.
asked Amanda what their fire safety plan was at home, what would she do? And she was convinced that she would just stay with Melissa.
The woods around Melissa's house are searched, along with her neighbors' cars and homes, but the little girl is nowhere to be found.
At some point, investigators started questioning you.
Yeah, it was kind of like they were pointing fingers, like we knew what was going on. Like, where's your daughter?
Up next, the search for the missing 5-year-old is about to head in a disturbing direction.
Even as cops, we don't think those kind of strange, horrible scenarios.
A sordid sex life leads cops to their prime suspect.
Melissa was very into daddy, little girl kind of scenarios.
How was Melissa murdered?
She's fully clothed, she's duct taped, bound, she was choked.